Testing! Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the first TBR video of the year. I will be choosing, not out of a jar today, but out of my nasty woman mug, because I am a nasty woman and I want everyone to know. I did not do a TBR in January because I just wanted January to feel as low pressure as possible. There's always so much pressure put on everything in January, and I wanted to remove as much of that as I could as part of my New Year's resolution to do things that I want to do and feel good about. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I did this in my last TBR video where I'm going to also be incorporating books in Kindle Unlimited, so it's not just all of these books on the TBR shelf, some of them, but I just think having a mixture of Kindle Unlimited and these books, which let's be honest, they're on the shelf because I don't want to read them, we'll get a nice kind of mixture of flow, make sure we're reading the books. There are some books on here that I do want to read, to be clear, but most of them, they've been on here for a while. So yeah, to just kind of make sure we're still working our way through our physical TBR, but also reading new books that we're excited about. Having said all of that, I really want to do better with my TBR, my TBR list this year. I read 102 books last year. I did not do bad, but the latter half of last year, my commitment to reading the books in these videos has been lower than I would like it to be. I am ready to read these 6 books that I will be selecting today out of my Nasty Woman mug. Let's go! A nonfiction book. You know what? I have the perfect book in mind. We're gonna read the Story of Jane, the legendary underground feminist abortion service. The Story of Jane recounts the evolution of the abortion counseling service, codenamed Jane, which is also my middle name, thank you. The underground group of women who provided low-cost abortion services in Chicago in the years before the procedure was legalized. Organized in 1969 and active until the opening of the first legal abortion clinics in 1973, RIP, Jane initially counseled women and referred them to abortion providers who set prices and conditions. As Jane grew, so did the group's capacity to protect its clients. Eventually determined to reclaim women's reproductive power in any way they were able, getting emotional, many members of Jane learned to perform abortions themselves. So, timely book. I definitely want to learn about this because I feel like maybe it would come in useful at some point in the near future. Off to a good start. Book number 2. A book in a series. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm going to go to Kindle Unlimited for this. I want to continue reading the Chestnut Springs? Chestnut Springs. Elsie Silver. Okay, Heartless is book 2 in the Chestnut Springs series. I read Flawless in January on my Kindle and I loved it. I read it when I read 3 books a day as part of this 12-hour reading challenge. A heartwarming story of love, family, and second chances. With its authentic single dad romance and relatable characters, the book stands out as a highlight of the series. I love romances with single dads. I love that trope so much. I really loved Flawless. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. And so yeah, I'm just excited to continue the series. They're really nice palate cleansers, but I often find that Elsie Silver roots the romance in something a little bit more than just the romance without it being super dramatic. And that's to me the perfect balance that I'm looking for in a palate cleansing romance, because a lot of times these rom-coms are just so surface level, it's too boring. But I can't have every single book I read be A Little Life. I can't have it all be super super dramatic. I find that Elsie Silver has a nice balance of this is palate cleansing, but there's also a depth to it that doesn't make it super boring. I find myself being more invested in Elsie Silver storylines than just the average rom-com. So cool. So that's book 2. Book 3. These always go so fast. Am I being entertaining enough? Do you love me? Just wanna be loved. Recommended by a friend or follower. Recommended. Oh, okay. I know what I'm gonna do. My mom just read The Women. So many people have recommended this book to me. My cousin Allie recommended it to me. I've read 2 Kristen Hanna books and I love them both. I read The Nightingale and I read The Four Winds, and I wanted to read this anyway. This was a February 2024 book of the month pick. What I love about Kristen Hanna is it's historical fiction. So I feel you always learn about a specific point of time in history and a group of people in that point of time, but it's very character driven, so you're really learning about it through story, which is what historical fiction is, right? But I find a lot of historical fiction to be really dense and kind of like, I don't want to pick this up. But Kristen Hanna, you fall in love with these characters. You just don't want to put it down. It's very fast moving too. This one is about the Vietnam War, I believe. I think the first half takes place in Vietnam and the second half takes place after the war in California. It's about this 21-year-old nursing student, Frankie, short for Frances. Women can be heroes. When Frankie hears these words, it's a revelation. She was raised in Southern California, this idyllic world, sheltered by her conservative parents. She's always prided herself on doing the right thing. It's 1965, the world is changing, and suddenly she dares imagine a different future for herself. So her brother ships out to serve in Vietnam, and she joins the army as a nurse and follows him. So obviously, like, going to Vietnam is like a lot, you know, compared to this sort of idyllic Southern California lifestyle. And then it says the real battle lies in coming home to a changed and divided America, to angry protesters, and to a country that wants to forget Vietnam. Let's go. I'm very excited to read this. Okay, good stack so far. This is book 4. Okay, a book with a point of view I don't usually read, gender-wise. So I usually read stories from a female perspective, so I would be looking for a male or non-binary perspective, because non-binary people exist. Yeah, so, I mean, I've read books with male perspective. I've read a lot of books with female perspective. I don't know if I've ever read a book with a non-binary protagonist, and, like, what better time to start than right now. I think it's just called The Honeys, even though it says Honeys like 15 times on the cover. This is a book about grief, identity, gender roles, escaping the strong grip of expectations. So it's about this person, Mars, who had this twin, Caroline, who died, and, like, suddenly, I guess. Mars has a very politically connected family. Mars's sister, Caroline, attended the prestigious Aspen Conservancy Summer Academy and insists on attending in her place, and is just like, this is not for me. What this place is like not for me. Then Mars seeks out a group of girls dubbed the Honeys, named for the beehives they maintain behind their cabin. That sounds very dangerous. They're beautiful and terrifying, and Mars is certain they're connected to Caroline's death. The longer Mars stays at Aspen, the more sweet mountain breezes give ways to hints of decay. Mars's memories begin to falter, bleached beneath the relentless summer sun. Something is hunting Mars in broad daylight. If Mars can't find it soon, it will eat them alive. This sounds super interesting. I love a good murder mystery, which is what it sounds like it kind of turns into. But it also feels like it's about a lot more than just like your average murder mystery. There's a lot of grief involved. There's identity, finding belonging, etc. I love the cover. It's so pretty. So I'm really excited to read this. I've had this for a while. My friend lent it to me and I kind of forgot that I had it. So they really, really love this book. So I'm excited to read it. Also a book recommended by a friend. That was book 4. This is book 5. I was hoping I would get this one, a book I've already read. Excuse me. 1 second, I'll be right back. It's just simply time. I've been wanting to reread this. I wanted to reread it this winter, I think. I'm going to do the whole series, but obviously we'll start with this. I'll probably reread Throne of Glass, maybe next year, honestly, but maybe in the fall. I don't know. But I really wanted to start with ACOTAR reread. I am a Nesta girly, so I'm really actually excited to go back and reread knowing what I know about Nesta now and like experience her in this book, even though she has like 5 minutes of screen time in this book. But I live for her, and I'm just excited to reread this knowing who she becomes, you know. This is basically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast in a very specific way. It's interesting because this is often like people's least favorite ACOTAR book. It's definitely different than I would say like the other ones in a lot of ways, because it kind of like sets up certain things, and like I don't know how to explain it without like giving a spoiler, but most people say this is their least favorite book. But I recently had a friend who she read all the way through like the middle of the 3rd book, and she was like, I can't, like nothing competes with the first book for me. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. Like everyone says the opposite. And this is a quick one. It only is like 400 and like a little over 400 pages. I'm so excited to reread this. Oh my God. Probably do like a book a month. I haven't reread a book since I've got back into reading as an adult. I've just read new stuff because I think it's good, like, just to keep reading new things. But I think there's something also really comforting about every once in a while rereading something that you really enjoyed, that, like, you just got so lost in and, like, could not stop thinking about. Okay, so this is the last book. Only have one Kindle book so far. A book over 500 pages. There's definitely a lot of those. Okay, yeah, I hope this is over 500 pages. No! I was gonna do Valley of the Dolls, but it's like $450. I might go to Kindle for this one. Please hold. I'm gonna need a second. I'm considering doing All the Light We Cannot See, but I'm also just like, do I really want to do this to myself right now? I'm sorry. I cannot do this at this time. I cannot do this at this time. I'm leaning towards Outlander. I feel like February is a really good month to read this. I've been saying that I wanted to read this in like the dark months of winter. Yeah, it's 620 pages. I'm gonna commit to this. I really like, there is something deep inside of me that does not want to pick this up because the pages are so dense looking, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's so many words on each page. But I'll get over it. So many people say this series is amazing, and obviously like it's also a TV series, so I'm going to read it. My friend that only liked the first book of ACOTAR is obsessed with this series. I'll give it a try. Okay, let's do a wrap up. I only did one book on Kindle Unlimited. I think we have a nice, we're challenging ourselves a little bit here. You know, we have some nonfiction, whatever, but we're also keeping it real, doing stuff that's not too hard. So first book is The Story of Jane, which, by the way, I love this cover so much. I got this at book club in the East Village, which is like this bookstore and a bar. So it's basically all these people that go and read and drink. So it's like kind of social, but kind of not. It's like the perfect place to go if you want to go out, but don't really want to talk to anybody, but like kind of want to talk to people only if you like them. And you could always tell if you like someone by what book they're reading. Anyway, book 1, The Story of Jane. Book club. Book number 2, I think, was the Kindle book, which was it Heartless? Is that the name of it? Heartless by Elsie Silver, the second book of the Chestnut Springs series. Then we have The Honeys by Ryan LaSala. I'm probably doing these out of order, but who cares? The Women by Kristen Hanna, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Reread, and Outlander. This is like a really solid stack of winter reads. I think that it's really important during the winter to not torture yourself with like really dark books. Like, I would not be wanting to read like The Nightingale right now, for example. I don't need anything about the Holocaust at this moment. I think it's important to read those books in general, right? Books that make you uncomfortable, make you sad. But I think right now we all just kind of need a hug, and we need to feel warmth and love. Thank you guys so much for watching. What a time to be alive! I seriously hope everyone's doing okay and hanging in there. Reading is very helpful right now for me personally. I hope you guys are able to find some books that are helping you get through whatever you need to get through. This is a very exciting stack, and I'm excited to read it and talk about it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.